This is the book. It tells you, it shows you the core corruption going on in this land. I haven't heard there's any preachers going there to warn them of hellfire or any of the preacher warning their people not to gamble. But I guess that would be another story after this one. Yes, I'm tired, but the clock is ticking. Time is getting short. We need to educate all our people we can. There's a couple of things in here I want to read to you. But first, I want to read the flap on it. I suggest you go and read this book. It's got a lot of details in it. Okay. Meet the self-anointed priests of the New York Mercantile Exchange. In some ways, they're everything you would expect them to be. A secretive, members-only club of men and women who live lavish lifestyles, cavort with politicians, strippers, and celebrities, and blissfully jacked up oil prices to nearly $150 a barrel while profiting off the misery of the working class. In other ways, they are nothing you can imagine. Many come from working class families themselves. The prodigy of Jewish, Irish, and Italian immigrants who escaped war-torn Europe, they take pride in flagrantly spurning Wall Street. Under the thumb of an all-powerful international oil cartel, the energy market has long eluded the grasp of America's hungry capitalists. Neither the oil royalty of Houston nor the titans of Wall Street has ever succeeded in fully wresting away control. But facing extinction, the rough and tumble traders of NYMEX, led by the reluctant son of a produce merchant, went after this Goliath and won, creating the world's first free oil market and minting billions in the process. Their stunning journey from poverty to prosperity belies the brutal and violent history that is their legacy. For the first time, the Asylum unmasks the oil market's self-described inmates in all their unscripted and dysfunctional glory. The happily married father from Long Island whose lust for money and power was exceeded only by his taste for cruel pranks. The Italian kung fu fighting gasoline trader whose ferocity in the trading pits earned him countless millions. The cheerful Nazi hunter who traded quietly by day and ambushed Nazi sympathizers by night. And the Irish-born femme fatale who outsmarted all but one of the exchange's chairmen. The Hungarian immigrant who, try as he might, could do nothing to rein in the oil market's unruly inhabitants. From the treacherous boardroom schemes to the hookers and blows of the trading pit, from the repeat terrorist attacks and the FBI stings to the grand alliances and outrageous fortunes that brought the global economy to the brink, the asylum ventures deep into the belly of the beast, revealing how raw ambition and the endless quest for wealth can change the very nature of both man and market. Showcasing 7 years of research and hundreds of hours of interviews, Leah McGrath Goodman reveals what really happened behind the scenes as oil prices topped out and what choice the traders ultimately made when forced to choose between their longtime brotherhood and their precious oil monopoly. They created their own mafia on Wall Street, now didn't they? Of course, not as loyal to each other as mafia brothers are. It's even worse. And there is something else I want to read from here. Actually, every group, every race of people have good ones and bad ones. So let's give you a little example, okay? The Orthodox Jewish boy who had come down to the pits in early 1980s and told to remove his yarmulke was now all grown up. He was married, had children, and bought seats at the exchange that would support his family for many generations. He could retire early, but he chose to work. Throughout the years, he prided himself on avoiding many of the temptations that had caused others in the pits to steal from one another and from their clients. He refrained from bad mouthing exchange officials, even when he didn't agree with them, and he'd avoided talking to the press. But when he saw oil prices resuming their upward climb towards $80, he felt he had to speak up. In a lengthy interview, he sat down and spoke with me about what he and the other traders thought they were seeing from their vantage point in the pits. It was his belief that Washington either did not notice or did not want to notice. He understood there were worries about oil supplies, but he also feared the situation was being purportedly exploited and ignored. In the past, when the market got ahead of itself, it would always snap back in place in a day or two. But after we went electronic, oil prices came off their hinges. They're no longer in touch with reality. We're seeing things we've never seen before in the way the future prices move, the relationships between the months, and the way the oil prices jump. Before, when we passed from one season to the next, the price relationship between the months would always move like clockwork, and you could anticipate them, but not anymore. It's all unraveled. These days, nothing makes sense. I don't care what anybody says about it. I was there, and I have been there from the very beginning, back when Michael and Francis Marks started it all. And since the oil market's gone to the screen, we've seen prices go up sometimes $5 to $10 a barrel a day. Even on the really crazy days in the past, you didn't see daily prices move of more than a couple of dollars usually. I want to know what is happening out there that is warranting a price change of that magnitude. Did an oil field blow up? Is there a new world war being fought somewhere? I think the biggest one day move we've ever seen in oil before was an $8 jump in 1991 at the start of the first Iraq war. The market's no longer reflecting supply and demand. It used to be fundamentally driven. There's no new war, no big supply disruptions, and suddenly oil is going through the roof, right? But it's just a computer game now, isn't it? Just guys trading around the world in giant rooms they're calling arcades. And it's basically a computer game for these men who are destroying lives. And they don't care. They don't see reality. They just want to be rich. The only reality they want to see. And I just said that. And one more part on here. And read the last of it. The first time I met Newsom, he told me about the late Mississippi judge and legislator whom he greatly admired by the name of Noah Soggy Sweat Jr. Sweat, a lifelong bachelor known for his love of shock value and his flaming red hair, had given a famous speech in 1952 about another commodity from which the United States had never broken its addiction. The speech, instantly hailed as a monument to political double talk, was, fittingly, Newsom's favorite and just as ill-fated as the many speeches delivered over the years about oil. However, Sweat's elegant diatribe, I known as the whiskey speech, was about alcohol. Sweat, aside from being an orator, had also been a drinker. My friends, this is his speech. I had not intended to discuss this controversial subject at this particular time. However, I want you to know that I do not shun controversy. On the contrary, I will take a stand on any issue at any time, regardless of how fraught with controversy it might be. You have asked me how I feel about whiskey. All right, this is how I feel about whiskey. If when you say whiskey you mean the devil's brew, the poison scourge, the bloody monster that defiles innocence, dethrones reason, destroys the home, creates misery and poverty, yea, literally takes the bread from the mouth of little children. If you mean the evil drink that topples the Christian man and woman from the pinnacle of righteousness, gracious living into the bottomless pit of degradation and despair and shame and helplessness and hopelessness, then certainly I am against it. But if when you say whiskey you mean the oil of conversation, the philosophic wine, the ale that is consumed when good fellows get together, that puts a song in their hearts and laughter on their lips and the warm glow of contentment in their eyes, if you mean Christmas cheer, if you mean the stimulating drink that puts the spring in the old gentleman's step on a frosty, crispy morning, if you mean the drink which enables a man to magnify his joy and his happiness, and to forget, if only for a little while, life's great tragedies and heartaches and sorrows, if you mean that drink, the sale of which pours into our treasuries and untold millions of dollars, which are used to provide tender care for our little crippled children, our blind, our deaf, our dumb, our pitiful, aged, and infirm, to build highways and hospitals and schools, then certainly I'm for it. This is my stand. I will not retreat from it. I will not compromise. And basically, I take that as the same thing as the reason that we should legalize marijuana. Thank you for listening. And I suggest you really check out this book. Leah, McGrath, Goodman, The Asylum. I love whistleblowers. Love them. Praying for them. They'll do the best.